Welcome back to Real Estate Success Partner. I'm Devin Dubuque, and today you might notice a scenery change. I've got somebody really awesome, AJ Taylor from the Finnigan Taylor Team.
Right.
And we're actually right here in your house, brother. You were gracious enough to bring us in. Man, appreciate it. Appreciate the hospitality.
My pleasure, man. Let's get out in the world and do stuff.
Yeah.
Real conversations happen in living
This
rooms.
stuff too. I mean, you've got your channel and you've got a big following. I see the stuff that you're doing on social. It's like, what do you do when two worlds collide, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny. We just happened to bump into each other, having sushi. Kids were talking to each other. And it was like, hey, what do you do? And you said, well, I think you asked me, right?
Yeah, you started telling me where you live, and I started talking about the area. And
That's what it was.
You're like, you know a lot about this.
Too much.
How do you know so much about where I live? I'm not a stalker, but I just happen to know the area. Yeah.
And you said, hey, I'm in real estate, and your market is one of those markets I'm in a lot. So, and you're all over the place.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't heard of their team, you're probably hiding under a rock, right?
We're out there.
But, we're out here in Prosper, Texas. Is this where you're from originally?
No, born and raised in California, but don't tell too many people. I try to keep it a little bit of a secret.
I think we've accepted the
Californians
at this
now,
point in time, right? You guys have become natives. So
I was part of the mass migration.
Home.
Thank you. I always say I was like, I was just born in the wrong state.
Yeah.
I wasn't meant to be born. I was meant to be born in Texas.
You're always a Texas guy.
I was always a Texan.
Yeah. What part of California?
So Los Angeles, born and raised.
Yeah.
Born and raised in the thick of it.
My man. And you did real estate out there?
No. So actually, I had a 20-year career in the film business.
Okay.
So 20 years as a lighting director.
Yeah.
Traveling the world, doing feature films, television, a couple of shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my end of my career was Dancing with the Stars, American Idol.
Did you dance with the stars?
It's funny. You just now when you watch it, you're like, I can dance. You don't even have to do it, but you're like, I can dance now.
Yeah.
And I can sing now because I did American Idol.
Oh, wow.
So just automatically,
I didn't know that.
Automatically, you're a star.
You're about to belt out of tune.
Yeah, it was an interesting road.
Yeah.
I had been involved in real estate.
Yeah.
Buying, selling, owning investment properties, building a house.
Outside investor,
but I didn't realize that I could have a career where I actually talk to people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, my wife was like, it'd be really good for you.
Right.
It's like, you get paid to talk. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic.
I love to do that anyways. Yeah.
So 20 years in the career, and just kind of towards the end during kind of the early 2020s when things were not going great in California. We all know what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just started looking around and saying, I'm not sure this is a long-term plan for the family.
Let's say you've got kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the main driving factor to get me out of there was finding a better place for my kids, finding a better place for the family.
That's what you told me when we met.
That was it. I mean, that's like that's my why, right?
Yeah.
That's my why.
Mine too. So,
yeah,
it's all about the family. It's our number one core value. I talk about it all the time, right? You've got to have your core values.
Yeah.
Family's ours, right? We want to be there to support the people we love and show them, the best opportunity for themselves, right? We want to create future successful people.
Look, I was having an amazing career. I just got Emmy nominated for outstanding lighting direction for Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, man.
Doing all this stuff. And something hit me. And I'm like, the career is important, but my two greatest achievements are my kids.
That's it.
I was like, well, what about them? Am I going to look back and go, but what about my career?
Yeah.
I'm going to look back and I'm going to think about my kids and what did I do for them? Never saw them. I was never around. I'm on set 80, 90 hours a week. So there's got to be something better. There's got to be something different. So we came to Texas for a weekend.
Okay.
Driving around.
Yep.
We bought a house that weekend. Went back home, told our kids we're moving to Texas. They said, what's that? Never heard of it. I said, you're about to find out. So
welcome home, kids.
And, everyone's looking at me like, AJ, you're quitting your 20-year career. You built this whole company, all this thing, just going to the Emmys and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you're leaving. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
I said, because sometimes your convictions got to be stronger than the career path.
I love it.
So that was it, man.
I love it.
We were out of there. I bought a house here.
Yeah.
Guy that
this
sold
house
me,
or
no, a different house.
Okay.
Guy that sold me my house said, "Hey, you ever thought about doing real estate?" I said, "Nah," And then I was like, "Well, that was an epiphany. I was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
And there it is. And now you're doing it. And you're not just doing it, you're doing it on a very high level. So, what did that look like, right? So you're transitioning from film, lighting. You understand the industry because you've bought investments. So you've been in the industry, right? So what did it take to get started? What did the journey start?
Yeah, it was got my real estate license as I was on set. I mean, we're doing live show, Dancing with the Stars, and during commercial break, I'm like studying for real estate. That's where my head was.
Picture it.
That's where my head was. I was already out,
Yeah.
And what I realized in business is that this transcends businesses. Writing a contract's the easy part.
Right.
I mean, anyone can write a contract, put numbers on a piece of paper.
That's it.
But helping people, communicating with people, letting them know that you're on their side and you're here to help transcends every business. If you can communicate, you can do anything.
Agreed.
So being on set, doing production, talking to stars, talking to producers, talking to directors, you're selling ideas. And now I'm selling homes.
Yeah.
I like to say I'm actually selling legacies because it's not just your home. It's going to be the legacy that you're going to leave for your family.
That's right.
So I'll tell you, it's so much more fulfilling. Lighting a set, doing a live show in front of 20 million people.
Right.
Very exciting.
I'm sure it is.
Adrenaline. I mean, super exciting.
Yep. Game on, right?
Selling someone a home, helping them move their family across the country, find the life that I found for my kids.
That's right.
Talking to them 6 months, a year later, when they're crying on the phone saying, AJ, thank you so much for this. Like, you help us. I was like, well, it doesn't compete with lighting any set, winning any award in the film business. So what I do now is so much more satisfying. At the end of the day, I feel so good about what I've done.
And you should, because we had a chance to talk in the green room. And I think what you provide is different than what everybody expects, right? At the end of the day, you're not out just showing houses and helping somebody find, you're helping them with their financial decisions as well. And I know traditionally people say, well, that's the side of the mortgage company, and it should be, but what we were talking about earlier is, you really help educate your consumers to make the right decisions, not just about the home that they're going to purchase, but how to purchase that home. And you understand it really well. I've been in this industry for 23 years, right? And quite frankly, I think you could slide over and jump right in with really not a lot of difficulty, man. Talk about that, right? When you're out there trying to find the right person to do business with, how do you help that client make this giant decision and make it smart for them?
Well, it's true. We were just talking about that, and it was, I'm always a little blown away how uneducated the consumers are. And I just don't think it's fair. To them.
That's right.
And so working with people like you and the team that you guys have and educating people on,
that's right.
Hey, you can be a homeowner. It seems so unobtainable for people. It's like, these numbers can't work. These numbers can't.
Right.
It's like, well, let's have the conversation. What if we can be creative? What if we can buy down that interest rate and we can get you into this home? Like, what's your monthly payment? Let's work this thing backwards. I say that to my clients. They say, AJ, I want to buy $1 million home. And I said, hold on, time out.
Right.
You don't know what that even means. What's your monthly payment that you can afford? And let's reverse engineer this.
Right.
Why don't you talk to my man, Devin, and he'll give you the numbers and let you really look at this. So what we try to do on the Finnigan Taylor team here is educate people on their options. We don't think it's fair for this one package fits all.
That's it.
So we try to say, hey, here's what we can offer. Here's what Devin can offer. Here's what the team around us can offer you. Now you have all the decisions, and now you can make this educated decision that you're actually making the right choice. You're not forced and pressured into something. So we really, really, really strive on helping educate the consumer feel super comfortable with the purchase.
Well, you don't strive, you do it.
We do.
You do it, you do it, you do it. And you're out there, you're actually doing this socially as well, right? So it's not just for the consumers you're serving directly, but indirectly, you are an educator. This is something that you do on the regular. I've seen your channel. I've seen the information that you put out there, right? And you're right. It's so important to work with the right partners to help educate that consumer to know, A, you can be a homeowner, but B, what does that really look like for you, right? And just because you have this idea of, I want to be in this particular home, do you really qualify for that home? Or maybe there's a better solution for your personal journey, right?
I'm a different kind of realtor where I'll talk someone out of buying a more expensive house. And I'll even tell my clients, like, look, this is a great house.
Right.
And you can afford this $3 million home. You can afford it, no problem. But there's a $2 million home right here that checks all your boxes. You get to take that $1 million, invest that money. I mean, just because you can't afford something doesn't mean that you have to buy it.
That's true.
And so we're super honest about that. Some people will set up searches. If someone says, hey, I want to buy $1 million home. Great. I want to set you up on $1 million search. I set you up on a $700,000 search up to $1 million. I want you to see what's out there and make that decision that's right.
Yeah.
I'd rather you save some money, you know? So for us, it's not about one sale for us. You know, a lot of realtors are out there. Let's close the deal. Let's get this thing done. They come from sales backgrounds. And maybe that's a big difference of me and a guy that came from a used car lot. You know, it's just about closing deals, making that sale. For me, it's more about, is this the right decision for you and your family?
Yeah.
And let's make sure that you're really looking at all this. We're not interested in one sale. We're interested in your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your dog, your cat, if they can't buy houses. But, you know, we're interested in
we're
the
going to take care of the cat.
Yeah,
we're going to get great.
We're interested in the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And the relationship that we're going to build.
Well, it's a relationship business, right? And we talk about this all the time. You know, if you're in here just for a quick buck, you can make it, right? But you're not going to make it long term.
Yeah.
You know, the people that lead with their heart and lead with a giving mindset, right? Those are the people that are going to do well in this industry, because you're exactly right. Those consumers come back again and again and again because you're educating them, but you're helping them make the right decision for them. And I love what you said, right? It doesn't matter if you're looking for $1 million. We're going to set it back to 700,000, because if that right opportunity is there, you know, we may place you in that. And more importantly, now we've got another, let's say $250,000. Maybe you invest that in another real estate property, right? That can help you build your portfolio. We know real estate's a great investment, right? We talked about that earlier today. And, you know, at the end of the day, homes tend to appreciate 5.5% per year. In some markets, 20.
Yeah.
Not very common. We saw that right around the same time you transitioned here. I think you had something to do with that, coming from California.
I was part of the overpaying Californian wave.
You were. But, you know, that's such an amazing thing. And that's why you're doing so well, right? Is because the consumer can see that. They see past the, I'm in it to sell you a house, and they see that you're here to help them with the legacy.
Yeah. And, you know, we've been blessed to be able to work with people that align with us. And so that was a hard part when I first got in this business. It was like every deal, every client, like, what do you want to do? I'll show you any home. Like, we've now come to the point where it's like, you know what? I don't think we're aligning.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're on the same page here. And I think you might be better off with a different realtor.
How do you make that decision?
Well, I think you can kind of read between the lines on people. Working on set for 20 years, all the different personalities and production.
You've met some people.
You start to gauge people. You start to read people. You start to understand there's some red flags here. You know, for instance, hey, I just need you to sign this agreement that we're going to work together exclusively. Oh, well, I don't think I can do that. Well, if you can't do that, then we can't even start the process. Yeah. So look, we're so just lucky to have the opportunity to live in this area where it's just booming and tons of people moving. But it's also important to us for not just our brand, our reputation, but also our morals, that we don't just take clients just to take clients. Yeah. That we're kind of exclusively picking clients that not just want to work with us, but we want to make sure we want to work with them.
That's right.
You know, it's a two-way street.
It has to be a two-way street, right? You know, at the end of the day, you're going to invest a lot of time in this person. Yeah. And, you know, they've got to have that trust and confidence that they're working with the right person. Yeah. But you have to have the trust and confidence that they're not going to waste your time. Yeah.
We've been there.
Yeah. And it happens, right? It happens. But, you know, how do you get to the point where you are? So, you know, we've talked about this before. So you have a business partner.
I do.
You also have a behind the scenes person,
That's right?
Happens to be your wife.
That's right.
In this particular situation. How does that dynamic work, right? Like, how do you guys work together as a team and build what you've built?
Well, first of all, I had to get it approved with my wife to have a female business partner.
Wise man once said.
Luckily, they're best friends.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So that's like, we're the Finnigan Taylor Team. Her name's Brooke Finnigan. Okay. AJ Taylor, Finnigan Taylor Team. And I was out on my own. I was with the team at first, kind of became the top producer in the company.
It just kind of happened.
And it just happened. And then some structures changed. And I said, you know what? This is not really working for me. Yeah. Went out on my own, building my own brand, working hard and branding myself. And then this opportunity came along where she called me and said, hey, I don't know. You just popped in our head. We don't know why. We haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you think about partnering? I'm like, oh my God, what an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even have thought about it.
Yeah.
And it just became one of those things that the universe aligned and said, this is something you need to do.
That's awesome.
So we partnered up, and the rest is kind of history. It was like, she's a heavy hitter. You know, she's top 500 producer in DFW, top 1% producers in North Dallas. Her numbers have been killing it for years. So she's got much more time in the game than I do. So I learned a lot from her.
That's great.
And then there's certain aspects that I do really well, certain aspects that she does well.
The balance is there.
I never knew how powerful it was to have a business partner. Yeah. I'd always done things on my own, you know?
Yep.
And so, and then my wife runs the back end. So she does all the long format editing, social media. You know, people say, oh, you're saving so much money. I said, listen, she's my wife. If you really think I'm saving a ton of money here, you must not be married.
You haven't seen her boardroom.
You must not be married, because if I crunch the numbers, it might be cheaper for me to hire somebody.
I love it, man. I love it. But you guys do an amazing job. And, you know, I love that what you said. She picked up the phone and she called you and said, hey, I'd love to talk about partnership, right? You know, it's funny how that works out. We have a little saying we always talk about is all you have to do is ask, right? You know, you never know, because a lot of times people look at somebody else and they look at them as competition. Yeah. She looked at this opportunity. Yeah.
She's very, I am probably look at stuff as more competitive than she does. She has a very giving heart and very open to helping everyone. And what you give is what you get, you know? So yeah, she didn't look at it anything. She doesn't look at anybody as competition. Yeah. She looks at all of us as just partners that are helping each other out. So she's really great in that aspect. And we really complement each other so well. And I'll tell you, having a female and male, we work with buyers that the wives feel more comfortable talking to a woman about things. The man might feel more comfortable. And we see different things about the house. We see different aspects of just naturally programmed for our brains to see certain things. So the compliment is the benefit to the client.
It is.
And there's two of us. Yeah. There's two realtors. You know, I'm telling to tell people, you get two. We're both working for you at the same time.
You guys are so smart. Yeah. So two of the top people in the industry working at the same time. But you said something that's super smart, right? If they don't like me, it's okay. They might like her, right? And if they don't like her, well, they probably love her. But they might like talking to you better, right?
And resonate with. Yeah. Let's use resonate instead of. I might resonate with someone.
I like it. I like it. You know, we use a similar philosophy in our business as well, right? You know, because again, I'm national director at Premier, and we've got our president and CEO Ferris Faraj, and we've got a recruiter Coach Rick, and we're communicating with loan officers that we want to partner up with, right? We know that works as well, right? It's like, hey, you may not love talking to Devin, but you might love talking to Coach, right? Yeah. You might like Ferris a little bit better, and we're okay with that. You know, so we work in that same type of partnership mentality, because I think we need to add an element that we gotta get a female aspect in there, right? Yeah. That's what we're missing. So you've got this great partnership that you guys have formed, and you guys have just taken off.
Yeah, we have. Look, it's real funny. Brooke's very modest, and I'm like, Brooke, do you know what you did last year? I'm like, your numbers are staggering. She's like, no, I have no idea. She doesn't think about it like that. Now I'm on the books. Yeah. I'm looking at numbers. I'm like keeping track of all this stuff and making sure we're on track here. But it is a valuable lesson that it's not just about the numbers that you've been doing. It's about like, how many families have we helped? How many people have we helped do this? But I mean, the reality is we're top 1% producers here, and we are the top of the game out here in this North Dallas kind of booming area.
Well, what a great area it is. It is. And what great families you guys have served. And I love that you use that term, right? We're here to serve families, and making families homeowners and building their long-term generational wealth. I mean, that's really important. You guys are doing a great service to the community. And, what we talked about earlier is you're doing it for the right reasons. Right? You're not trying to sell the biggest house. If it happens, it happens. Right? But at the end of the day, you're trying to put them into a potential situation that's going to be the best opportunity for them, and maybe save them a couple of bucks along the way. Right?
I think you got to look at the totality of the situation. People always say, oh, I want to live here. Yeah. I'm like, well, what do you know about that area? Oh, I just heard it was good. I'm like, well, let's step way back. Yeah. What's your family situation? What are you looking for? Are you looking for amenities? Are you looking for community? Are you looking for big trees? Are you looking to live a quiet life? Are you looking to live, there's so many aspects that we want to make sure we're checking all these boxes.
That's right.
And then, I promise you, we're going to find you the right house. You're going to find a house you like. Right. There's a lot of great houses out here. Yeah. But you got to love where you live, not just the house. Yep. So we try to tie all that in first, And then we say, you know what? I got the perfect community for you.
Yeah.
I know exactly where it's going to be great for you.
That's it. It's funny. I talk about this all the time, and this is true, but people always say, hey, buying a home is the biggest investment you'll ever make. And it is, but it's more than that. This is your home.
Yeah.
This is where you're breaking bread, apparently shooting podcasts today, right? This is where you're going to spend time with your family. This is where your family is going to come for the holiday seasons, right? You're going to have your friends over and break bread in the backyard, right? And you've got to have this great experience from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And when you're working with a team like Finnigan Taylor, that experience starts at the very beginning.
Yeah. It does. And we're very hands-on from the beginning to end. New construction's
everywhere.
Huge up here right now. It is. And there's a lot of people that sign the contract and you never really see them again.
Yeah.
And we've always asked sales agents, how many realtors are in these meetings, or how many realtors show up to these closings? And they're like, honestly, not that many. And we're always blown away by that.
Yeah.
Because we don't know any other way.
Yeah.
Like, we're in every design appointment, every electrical meeting, every plumbing meeting.
That's huge.
I mean, we are on site doing pre-drywall inspections.
Guiding them through the process.
But we didn't really understand that other people don't do it. We just assumed that
that's standard in the industry.
How are you not doing that?
That's right.
That's just so now I actually,
advisor,
now I actually say, hey guys, we're with you the whole step of the way. It's like, why do I have to say that? I feel like that should be a given. And I think it
should be a given.
Just our normal is other people's extraordinary.
Well, I love that you brought that up, right? Because buying new construction can be confusing, right?
Yeah.
And, when you're going out, you don't know what to look for. If you're just an average, consumer purchasing a home, you don't know what to be looking for. Yeah. And the builders, they will get away with things if they can, right?
Builders work for the builders.
They do. So, the services you're providing, going out to each one of these meetings and helping them build the perfect home for themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazing. It's amazing. And I can tell you, I personally did purchase new construction recently, and I'm in the industry, but my realtor that I chose at the time happened to be a friend. I didn't get that type of service, right? So
there's a lot of aspects to building a new home that people don't consider.
Yeah.
They think it's, I just walk in the office and look, it could be a $400,000 spec home that's already designed. Mm-hmm. And then we design $5 million custom, from the ground up builds with people. And we're in meetings for months designing every wall, every cabinet. So we're from beginning to end.
Well, we're talking about luxury real estate, right? And you need to have a luxury agent to guide you through. And that's what you guys truly are, right? Because when you talk about a luxury, what is that? Well, that's something just a little bit extra, right? Something that just makes it a little bit more special, right? Yeah. And so when you look back at the other potential agents out there that aren't doing these types of things, that's why they're not a true luxury agent. Yeah. A luxury agent is guiding you through that process.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. So let's talk about future, right? I mean, we're here in 2025. It's been an interesting market, right? It is, yeah. And I think we're approaching a really good season. We've got summer months coming right around the corner. It seems like, the rate scare has kind of faded away a little bit, right? We've got some real problems there, but what do you think's happening here in the next few months in real estate?
I'm seeing the uptick. I'm feeling, we talk about like consumer confidence.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sensing phone starts ringing more.
That's it.
The buyer's not cyclical. We know that the summer months, but I think that people have finally been educated.
Yes.
That, hey, people have been sat back and watched for 2 years.
Right.
Rates are going to come down. All that happened is rates went up.
They did.
And prices also went up.
They grew along with it.
People are going, well, maybe this doesn't make sense. So with the education piece of people like you doing the podcast and doing all this stuff and
doing what you do.
Yeah. And teaching people about, hey guys, look, you can make it happen. I foresee this next, couple of years to be really good. I think we're getting into a little bit of a surplus here in DFW.
We are.
Which we never really had.
Yeah.
It was always a scarcity.
That's true.
I like a balanced market like that.
Agreed.
I like the consumer to have choices, not walk through a home and go write the contract in the car. We'll pay $200,000 over asking price.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good for the consumer.
It's not great for the consumer because I can tell you from the other side of it, right? We do follow up with our past customer database, right?
Yeah.
And when we're talking to a lot of these homeowners, they have regrets. Right?
Yeah.
I bought the wrong house because I was rushed into it, not because of the agent, because of the market. Right?
Yeah.
And the demand. And now I don't love the house that I'm in, but I'm locked in at a 3% or as you mentioned earlier, a 199, right? And those rates existed. And so now we're feeling a little bit like we're in house prison. We don't love the home that we're in. We've got a tremendous amount of equity. That's a beautiful thing. But moving out of that transaction, this may be the right time to do it. There's market available. You could go pick the property. And last time that I looked right now, you might even be able to negotiate a little bit.
I feel that we are entering a buyer's market. Yeah. I don't think we're officially in a buyer's market.
Right.
They won't say we're in a buyer's market.
That's right.
But boots on the ground guy that's writing contracts every day, we're getting deals on almost every house.
Yeah.
So sellers are motivated. And so I'm thinking that this next summer rolling into 2026 can be a great opportunity to get into a home while we can negotiate that price down. And look, real quickly, and you know this better than anybody, the rate's always going to change.
It is.
The price of the house is what you really got to be looking at.
That's it.
If you get $50,000 off the house, but a little bit of a higher rate, you're getting a great deal.
You're getting an amazing deal. And again, we talked about this earlier. There's ways to get the rate down temporarily, right? And I'll let you go into that because you do it very well. But then the long-term strategy, which people hear this all the time, but the rate can eventually be refinanced, right? So how do you get somebody in a home right now, negotiate a better purchase price, and still have the opportunity to lock in at a really low interest rate?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And it's something that we've been really, really going hard trying to educate people on.
Yes.
So there's just real quickly, and it's a 2-1 buy down or a 1-0 or a 3-2-1.
However you want, whichever one works best for you.
Whichever one you want to structure it, and we'll lay it all out for them. But essentially, in a perfect world, we get the seller to pay to buy down the rate for the buyer. And so that means if rates are 6.5, you can be in a 4.5% for the first year, saving you $1,000 a month on your payments. We break that math down to people. It's staggering. Now, we've been successful by being creative.
That's it.
If you just stay in the box, check the box, it's like, here's what you got to do. You're not going to win. There's another strategy of lending yourself money. So, hey, the house is $1 million. We'll give you $1,020,000. And then you give us 20,000 back, and we're going to use that money to buy down our rate. We're going to lend ourselves 20,000 over 30 years. That's only, $180 a month, but I'm saving myself $1,000 a month on the payment. You're up $800 a month.
Yeah. So leveraging equity.
Creative strategies for our clients has allowed them to kind of see the light and go, well, hold on a second. I can afford a house at 4.5%.
That's right.
Okay. Well, how come no one told me about this? You know what I mean? So we're just out there really trying to educate people and make sure that they understand that there is an opportunity for them.
That's it.
And being creative with the buy downs right now is very prevalent. And almost every deal we're doing right now, it's coming with a buy down.
Well, I'm going to talk to the camera real quick, because guys, if you listen to what AJ just said, his team's out there to get very creative about helping you buy a home right now and showing you how it can be affordable, even in what people are calling a high rate economy, right? I don't think it's a high rate economy. I got in the industry 23 years ago and rates were in a refi boom at 6.5%, right? But based on what we just came out of, right? And property values going up at the same time, it feels high, right? We're also, in a state of inflation. Obviously, everybody knows where we sit, so it can be a scary time. But when you're working with great people like AJ and his team, right? This is how you can make home affordable in this market right now and buy before the rates drop. Everybody floods back into the market, right? And property values go back up. And even if you do get in and you use that temporary buy down option and leverage the concessions the seller is going to give you, you could potentially wait until the market rebounds and refinance. We were talking about this earlier. I don't think we're going to see rates in the 4 this year. I don't think it's going to. Can you potentially get there? Sure, you could potentially buy down there, but without buy down, right? The par rates, I think we'll see somewhere in the mid to high 5s, right? Hopefully by the end of the year, we see some environment like that. But at the end of the day, using the temporary strategy, you get to lock that in now, get the home that you want, take advantage of the surplus of inventory that's out there. And now you get into the home that you want. And if you're out there and you're that buyer that we talked about a minute ago that bought the wrong house, you're not in prison anymore. You can get out there and buy the one that you want.
And get your equity.
Yeah. And get your equity.
That's the season that we're in right now.
And a side of fries too, right?
That's the season that we're in. A lot of people got a lot of equity wrapped up in these houses.
They do.
And they're torn. Like, why do I get out of this low rate, but I got $500,000 wrapped up? Well, it turns out the only way to get that $500,000 is to sell a house. So if we told you that you can give up a 3.5 for a 4.5, Well, people would go, well, hold on, that sounds pretty good.
That's not so bad. Well, and then you leverage that with let's talk about what kind of debt you might have accumulated, right? Because another issue we have in today's world is average credit card interest rate is 25 to 29%.
Yeah.
Mafia money, right?
But somehow people pay that.
This is insane.
But
right?
somehow people pay that and they're okay with it.
And they are, right? And we're not talking, some people have no credit card debt.
Yeah.
If you're doing it right, you're paying off any balance that you have every single month, right? But those of you that are out there and don't have access to your equity because you're locked into that 3.25% rate, now you can take that, go into a 4.5%, secure your next home, work with AJ and his team, right? And pay off that high interest credit card debt to get out of that prison, because that's the worst prison. It's amortized, not over a specific period of time, and it's compound interest daily, right?
Yeah.
So I always like to talk about that too, because let's make you debt free and put you into the home that you love.
Yeah.
And you actually may save some money along the way and now have some investment opportunity with the surplus of cash that you have.
I mean, that's such a great point, Devin, that like, just to frame it that way. And then, the way that you break it down is so good, because it's like, okay, you're paying 23% interest on this, but you're worried about 6% interest on this. Well, let's get rid of this and get into this.
That's right.
So stuff like this, and even just conversations like this, just enlightening consumers to say, this makes a lot of sense, man. It
does.
How come no one's telling me about this? How come no one's informing me? But we're here to do that.
That's it. That's the whole plan, right?
Yeah.
Let's educate the world on what's really happening out there, right? Because there's no school out there to teach you right and wrong. And sometimes even the financial advisors get it wrong, right? You're like, not all of you guys, there's a lot of great ones out there, right? But at the end of the day, don't hold yourself hostage. If you're thinking, and if you don't want to move, don't move, right? If you love your home, stay in your home.
No one's forcing you.
But if you're in the process to where you don't love your home, or you're outgrowing, or it's time to move, or you want to buy that first house, you want to make that step, there's ways to make that happen right now.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Great stuff. Well, brother, you've been gracious enough to have me here in your home. I would love to sit here and talk all day, and maybe we should, because I think we got a lot of great things to say, right?
We can. We could talk. I think you and I could talk all day.
I think we could. What have we not covered today that we should have?
I think that the main thing that I would want to get across is that the home purchase is not just a purchase, right? And I think you touched on that, is that people look at it as just the numbers and just the investment, but it's so much more. And I think I didn't realize that until I found the right place for my family and saw my kids flourish and saw this beautiful community that we live in.
That's right.
And I thought, man, I always looked at this as just the numbers on a house and what can I afford? It's like, I think that the big factor for me and why I do this and why it's so fulfilling is seeing families find what I found and knowing that it's out there. I think we get so stuck in this is just what it has to be. Yeah. This is it. I have this job. I live in this town and this is it. Now look, some people might not have the opportunity to get out and do that.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, it wasn't easy for me. I quit a 20-year career, left everything behind, found a better career where I'm actually with my family all the time. And, just to find what I found and helping people do that is the part that's so powerful to me. So not looking at the home as just a bank and just an investment vehicle.
That's right.
But a home for your family to make that legacy.
Well, it's amazing, and I got to tell you, man, we're pretty blessed to have you over here.
Thanks, man.
Right?
Appreciate that.
No, we truly are. There need to be more people out there that are doing what you're doing, AJ, and it's a service to this industry. So, we took you away from something that you were great at and found something that you're even better at, and you're changing lives, right? This isn't a quick buck for you, and that's what I love. And what else I love, man, is that you did this for your family, right? So you came over to serve families for your family, right? Yeah. And now you're getting more time, to spend with the wife and the kids. Yeah. And what a lovely home that you guys have built.
Thanks.
And, again, I just got the energy when we met, because we just happened to run into each other. I just felt the energy and the love in your family, man. So you're doing something amazing, brother. Somebody, you need to hear that. So if you don't hear it enough, man, thank you for being you, brother.
Thanks,
thank
man.
you for being you.
That.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Devin.
Well, when the folks out there want to find you, and I'm pretty sure after they hear this, if they haven't already, they're going to want to, right? Like, what area do you serve? Are you Texas only?
Yeah, so we are Texas. We're predominantly the North Dallas area. Yeah. So you're looking kind of from the, Dallas all the way pretty much to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Everything north of Dallas is really where we focus. I'll have one piece of advice is that if a realtor ever tells you that they know everything about DFW and they serve every area, don't work with them.
Yeah.
Because you can't know everything about every area.
It's great advice.
So if we have someone that says, hey, we're looking to live in Weatherford.
Yeah.
I'll say, great. I have a great colleague out there. I'd love to refer them to you. They're going to be able to really handle your situation better than I would.
So refreshing.
So just give up that money and let
Have an abundance mindset.
Yeah. And
it'll come back around.
Let the people be served properly. So we're North Dallas. So Prosper, Salina, McKinney, this kind of main hub.
All the brand new.
All the areas where people are moving.
Beautiful real estate, everything.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful area out here.
Yeah, all the people were moving. So you could check out the website. It's FinniganTaylor.com. Find us all over social media. Finnigan Taylor Team, AJ Taylor. Type in AJ Taylor or Finnigan Taylor will pop up on everything. You'll see us there.
Yeah, that's it. And you should. If you should. In fact, the phone's probably ringing right now. So it probably has been.
It probably has been.
It probably has been. Which is why we got to wrap this thing, man, because we got to get you out there. But, AJ, again, man, it's just been amazing having an opportunity to sit down, hear your story, share it out there. And man, people need to know you. So
awesome, man.
No, thank you.
I love it. Thanks.
Dude, I love it too, man. And here's the new friendship, right?
Yeah.
Again, we met randomly.
Having sushi next to each other.
Having sushi next to each other, families together, breaking bread.
And our bills match.
Was that
like our bills matched almost to like 10 cents.
So wild, man. So wild. But, again, we did break bread together.
We did.
Yeah.
We've already done
do
that
it again sometime. Yeah. I love it, man. Well, I'm going to let you get back out there and do what you do. But, I'm Devin Buke, and this is the Real Estate Success Bar. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You know where to find us. You're already here, but keep coming back and, get great content for guys like AJ. Go check out his channel, too. What's your channel?
Yeah, check out the YouTube channel. It's actually the Finnigan Taylor Team. That's the channel. Everything's Finnigan Taylor Team. It's easy to find. You can also type in AJ Taylor. It'll take you right to the YouTube channel. We got hundreds and hundreds of videos about all the communities up here. We're doing the work for you. So you don't have to go and search, right? I've done all of it for you. You just go and watch the content. And
it's all educational. It's all educational, right? It's not, hey, come buy a house. It's, hey, this is how you can win in today's market, right? So, well, you've done a great service, brother. And
I think that was just one last thing is that not only is it education, but we're out here actually serving people.
You are.
Not that people shouldn't have YouTube channels that are just educational,
right?
But like me and you, we're actually working with clients and serving people. So you call, I answer the phone, and we go out and show you homes, and we write that contract for you. We are boots on the ground with you. We don't pass you off to another person that you've never met or talked to. You're going to talk to me directly.
Amen. Amen. And what a great conversation it's going to be. So, well, guys, thanks again for stopping in. AJ, thank you for taking the time, letting us in this beautiful home.
My pleasure.
And we'll have to do it again sometime.
All right, Devin. Thanks.
Till the next one. We'll see you then.